Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we are diving deep into a pivotal and often misunderstood period of Indian history, the early Muslim invasions. How did Islam first arrive in the Indian subcontinent? Was it a single event or a series of complex interactions over centuries? We'll explore the key figures and major events that shaped this transformative era, from the initial Arab voyages to the establishment of the first powerful Muslim dynasties. This isn't just a story of conquest, it's a story of cultural fusion, political change, and the creation of a new, multifaceted society. So grab your notebooks, because we're about to journey back in time to unravel the threads of this fascinating and complex history. Let's get started. Our story begins not with a massive army marching over land, but with ships sailing across the Arabian Sea. The first significant contact came in 711 AD with the Arab Conquest of Sindh, a region in modern-day Pakistan. The invasion was led by a young and ambitious general named Muhammad bin Qasim, sent by the Umayyad Caliphate. The official reason, or casus belli, was to rescue Arab merchants and their families who were captured by pirates operating from the port of Dibal in Sindh. When Raja Dahir, the ruler of Sindh, failed to punish the pirates, the Caliphate saw an opportunity. Muhammad bin Qasim, though only a teenager, was a skilled military commander. He led his army through Makran, defeated the local forces at Dibal, and then moved inland. The campaign was swift and effective. After conquering Dibal, bin Qasim's forces advanced, facing Raja Dahir's army near the Indus River. In a decisive battle, Raja Dahir was defeated and killed. This victory paved the way for the Arabs to take control of the entire Sindh region, including its capital, Aror. But what happened next is crucial. Instead of imposing a harsh rule, Muhammad bin Qasim established a system that was surprisingly tolerant for its time. He granted the local population, primarily Hindus and Buddhists, the status of dhimmis, or protected subjects. This meant that as long as they paid a tax known as the jizya, they were free to practice their own religions and manage their own communities. Many local chieftains and Brahmins were even co-opted into the new administration. This Arab rule in Sindh lasted for about 3 centuries, but it remained largely confined to that region. It was more of a foothold than a full-scale conquest of India, but it opened a permanent channel for cultural, religious, and trade exchanges between the Indian subcontinent and the Islamic world. Fast forward about 300 years, and a new, more formidable power emerges from the northwest, Mahmud of Ghazni. Unlike the Arabs in Sindh, Mahmud's incursions were far more aggressive and frequent. Mahmud was the ruler of the Ghaznavid Empire, based in what is now Afghanistan. He was a brilliant military strategist, but is often remembered for his series of raids into northern India between the year 1000 and 1027. Historians believe he launched as many as 17 expeditions. His primary motivations were twofold: wealth and religious zeal. The temples of India were legendary for their immense riches, and Mahmud saw them as an opportunity to finance his vast empire and his ambitions in Central Asia. He also portrayed his campaigns as a holy war, or jihad, earning him prestige in the wider Islamic world. Mahmud's raids were devastating. He targeted wealthy temple towns like Nagakot, Thanesar, and Mathura. He would sweep in with his fast-moving cavalry, overwhelm the local rulers, plunder the temples, and then retreat back to Ghazni with immense treasures and thousands of captives before the Indian kings could organize a unified resistance. His most famous and destructive raid was on the Somnath temple in Gujarat in 1025. The temple was one of the most revered and wealthy Hindu shrines. Mahmud's army marched across the Thar desert, sacked the temple, and reportedly carried away treasure of immense value. While these raids didn't lead to a permanent Ghaznavid empire in India, his control was mostly limited to the Punjab. They had a profound impact. They shattered the power of many Rajput kingdoms, drained the region of its wealth, and created a deep-seated sense of vulnerability in northern India. It also paved the way for future, more permanent conquests from the northwest. After Mahmud of Ghazni, the next major wave of invasion came from another ambitious ruler from the same region, Muhammad Ghori. Also known as Mu'izz al-Din Muhammad, he was the Sultan of the Ghurid dynasty, which had overthrown the Ghaznavids. Unlike Mahmud, Muhammad Ghori had a different objective. He wasn't just interested in plunder, he aimed to establish a lasting empire in India. He learned from Mahmud's campaigns and understood that to hold India, he needed to control its strategic heartland. His initial attempts were met with stiff resistance. In 1178, he was soundly defeated by the Chalukya queen Naiki Devi in Gujarat, but he was persistent. He shifted his focus to the north, capturing Peshawar and Lahore, and finally came face to face with the powerful Rajput confederacy led by Prithviraj Chauhan, the ruler of Delhi and Ajmer. This led to one of the most famous confrontations in Indian history, the battles of Tarain. The first battle of Tarain took place in 1191. Prithviraj Chauhan's forces, with their powerful war elephants and cavalry, decisively defeated Muhammad Ghori's army. Ghori himself was wounded and barely escaped with his life. It was a huge victory for the Rajputs. However, they didn't pursue the retreating Ghurid army, a strategic mistake that would prove costly. Muhammad Ghori was humiliated but not defeated. He spent the next year meticulously rebuilding his army, focusing on his elite mounted archers and shock cavalry tactics. In 1192, he returned to the same battlefield for the Second Battle of Tarain. This time, Ghori was better prepared. He used clever tactics, feigning retreat to lure the Rajput forces into a trap, and then launching a massive assault with his reserve cavalry. Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated, captured, and later executed. The Second Battle of Tarain was a watershed moment. It shattered Rajput power in northern India and opened the floodgates for the Ghurid conquest. Following this victory, Muhammad Ghori's trusted general, Qutbuddin Aibak, was tasked with consolidating their gains. Aibak went on to capture Delhi, which would soon become the center of Muslim power in India for centuries. He also led campaigns into the Gangetic Plain, extending Ghurid control deep into eastern India. Muhammad Ghori himself returned to Central Asia, leaving Aibak as his governor. In 1206, when Muhammad Ghori was assassinated, Qutbuddin Aibak declared himself the ruler of the Indian territories. He laid the foundation for the first Muslim dynasty to rule from Delhi, the Mamluk dynasty, more commonly known as the Slave dynasty. This marked the beginning of the Delhi Sultanate, which would rule over large parts of India for the next 300 years. So let's recap the journey. We started with the Arab conquest of Sindh in the 8th century, which established a limited but lasting presence and a channel for cultural exchange. Then came Mahmud of Ghazni in the 11th century, whose brutal raids were primarily for plunder but severely weakened the northern kingdoms. Finally, it was Muhammad Ghori in the late 12th century, whose ambition for empire building led to the pivotal Second Battle of Tarain and the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate. These early invasions were not a single monolithic event. They were a series of distinct phases led by different groups with different motivations, stretching over nearly 500 years. They fundamentally reshaped the political, social, and cultural landscape of the Indian subcontinent, setting the stage for centuries of interaction and integration between Hindu and Islamic civilizations. This period laid the groundwork for the rich, syncretic culture that would define much of medieval and modern India. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical exploration. The story, of course, doesn't end here. The establishment of the Delhi Sultanate is a whole new chapter filled with its own incredible stories of sultans, saints, and societal change. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about what happened next, please let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.